It's just religion. It's just religion.
Hello and welcome back to RS and 5 or Less, where we seek understanding and understand seeking. Muslims refer to the Prophet Muhammad as the seal of the prophets. No, not you. The seal of the prophets means the final prophet, the one after which no further prophets were needed. When speaking the Prophet Muhammad's name, they will add "peace be upon him" afterwards. This is a sign of respect, although it should be noted that Muslims do not worship Muhammad. The 33rd chapter of the Quran reads, "Muhammad is not the father of any one of you men. He is Allah's messenger and the seal of the prophets." This means that after Muhammad's message received by the angel Jibril on Mount Hira, no further messages were required to be given by Allah. Born towards the end of the 6th century in Mecca, in what is modern-day Saudi Arabia, he had a difficult childhood, never meeting his father who died before he was born, and being orphaned around age 6 with the death of his mother. He was brought up by his family, looking after his grandfather's sheep and working for his uncle, Abu Talib, as a merchant. As can often happen in such circumstances, difficult times can make a person stronger. By the age of 40, he was married, he had children, was a successful businessman, and was respected within his community. But in the year 610, everything changed for the Prophet Muhammad. Being a religious man, he retreated to the mountains to meditate and pray in a cave. The angel Jibril approached the Prophet Muhammad as he was meditating in the cave, squeezed him tight, and said, "Recite." He did not understand this, but it was repeated twice more, and after the third time, he began to write what is now called the first revelation of the Qur'an. This is seen as a miracle because the Prophet Muhammad was believed to be illiterate, unable to read and write, before these events. These revelations continued over a period of 20 years into what is now called the Qur'an today. As often is the case with prophets, his message was not immediately or welcomely received. Part of his message was that there was only one God. This was a problem to the people of Mecca, who made a good living out of selling idols, small statues of local deities. Also, his preaching included that they should stop drinking alcohol, cheating and gambling, none of which went down very well. 12 years after his first visitation with the angel Jibril, he had to flee the city of Mecca. This was because the leaders of the city had become so outraged by his preaching, and his band of followers was growing. He started to receive threats against his safety and against his life, and so he fled. This leaving of Mecca is called the Hijrah. He fled from Mecca to the nearby city of Medina. There, the number of converts he had grew to over 10,000. He and a vast army marched from the city of Mecca, retook it, and destroyed 360 idols which were stored within the kaa'ba. This established the kaa'ba as the centerpiece of Muslim religion and as a representative of there being one God. The city of Mecca was re-established under Muslim law, with the Prophet Muhammad's teachings, what we today call the Sunnah and Hadith, being the basis for this law. For an extension, further research some of the battles and trials of the Prophet Muhammad between him leaving Mecca and returning years later. In 632, the Prophet Muhammad returned to Medina, where he grew ill and died. The question arose, who should succeed him? For an in-depth look at the differences between Sunni and Shia Islam, click here. Sunni Muslims elected Abu Bakr as their caliph, leader. Shia Muslims elected Ali as their imam. Shia Muslims believe that imams are required in order to correctly interpret the Quran and apply it to today's world. The term imam is given both to Ali and his successors, as well as the person who leads communal prayers in a mosque. It is difficult to overstate how highly the Prophet Muhammad is regarded within Islam. As a teacher, Muslims believe he to have the highest possible authority. As a leader, they believe he judged justly and ruled rightly. As an individual, that he should be emulated, though not worshipped, and as the final prophet, is the person most honoured by Allah. Some questions to consider. Does the Prophet Muhammad being the seal of the prophets render the other prophets as redundant? Should Muslims emulate the Prophet Muhammad's life or seek to follow his teachings, or both? Would it change the meaning of the account of Muhammad with the angel Jibril on Mount Hira if he were or were not illiterate before this? And to what extent should the Prophet Muhammad be seen as a model for religious believers today?